Hello, good internet people. Welcome back to Bracket Brothers. This is our best millennial kid show of all time bracket continued. I'm Will, aka Fuse Sight, aka, this is our Cartoon Network region, and I have some more parameters to go over about this specific region. I know, boring. Shows like Dragon Ball Z and Teen Titans are not in this region. We have put them in our other region, which includes shows from WB Kids, Toonami, Maguzi, 4Kids, etc. We felt that those shows fit in that region better, even though they aired on Cartoon Network. And technically, Toonami was a segment of Cartoon Network, or whatever you want to call it. If you want a full rundown of the full parameters of this competition, please watch the beginning of the Nickelodeon region video. The link to that video is in the description below. Thank you for your attention. Let's jump into the Cartoon Network region.
So we are back with the Cartoon Network region of our four-part network, I guess our childhood shows, I should say, with the one and only Brody J. And my buddy Will, my co-host, my partner in crime, Will.
Sir.
We are here again with Cartoon Network. This is part 2 of our 4-part series here. Nickelodeon, just to recap, we did have SpongeBob come out as a very strong 1 seed against the number 2 seeded Rugrats, which you hate to see a 1 versus a 2, but both were very strong showings. And SpongeBob did take that. So we will see SpongeBob back Saturday the 21st on YouTube. But let's jump into this, guys. I think we have another really strong 1 seed here, but I do think there's some really good shows in this side of the bracket again as well. We are in Cartoon Network. Starting off with the number 1 seeded ScoobyDoo versus the number 16 seed My Gym Partner's a Monkey. No shot there was a chance here for My Gym Partner's a Monkey. ScoobyDoo is one of the biggest cartoons of all time. ScoobyDoo in a freaking landslide. Pardon my French. Birdie?
I actually watched My Gym Partner's a Monkey. I thought it was I thought it was a pretty good show. I think it had a lot of kind of the dumb humor you expect from early Cartoon Network. But no shot, man. Scooby-Doo's a worldwide phenomenon. It's had 50 movies made out of it,
And
not counting
50 shows also.
the 20, 30 different shows and seasons, and it's had 3 or 4 different remakes artistically. No, not even close.
I think the real question here is, what famous characters has Scooby-Doo not met? Because all the movies, they meet the Harlem Globetrotters, they meet the Three Stooges.
Kiss, they meet Kiss.
I will say with My Gym Partner's a Monkey, he did go to an animal school, or he went to a human school.
Stop messing around.
And then he went to an animal school because Lion was his last name. I mean, the theme song was super catchy to that show. But that was really the only good part of the show. I don't really remember much of that show. And in all honesty, I don't know if a network could get away with that name nowadays. Just saying. It's clearly Scooby-Doo. I'm not going to make an argument.
Chad agrees. We are moving on. Number 2, the Powerpuff Girls versus the number 15 Camp Lazlo. I can't speak too highly to Camp Lazlo. I know I'd seen it. I honestly couldn't remember it. Powerpuff Girls, again, one of those iconic shows. Truly. And this may sound, and I don't want this to come off wrong. Back at that time, it wasn't necessarily as accepting as it is of like a boy liking a girl show. Powerpuff Girls was one that you could get behind, boy or girl. I'm Powerpuff Girls all the way.
Oh, yeah. No, Kevin, you bring up such a good point. It was like totally taboo to like Powerpuff Girls for us guys back in the day. Like you had to keep it a secret. Shh. Hey. Like seriously, I remember that. And I'm like, God, I hope nobody hears me. I hope I don't get caught, because it was a good show. It was cleverly written, good villains. Him was scary. Him was scary as hell. Mojo Jojo, pretty classic villain too. I really did enjoy Camp Lazlo too, I will say. I thought it was pretty funny. My favorite character is actually Raj on the show. I'm not sure why. Good theme song. But again, I think it was just very limited. Obviously, they're kind of on the camp, and it's kind of just recycled plot points a little bit over and over again. It was pretty one-dimensional. Not that Powerpuff Girls wasn't repetitive, but there was just more to it. So Powerpuff Girls in a closer game than I think Kevin gives credit to, but I take Powerpuff Girls.
I have watched both shows. I think Camp Lazlo wasn't bad. I don't think it was a terrible show, but no chance, boys. It's a wash. It's a wash. Powerpuff Girls was just amazing. It was truly a superhero show. I think truly. And I don't know. Some people maybe didn't look at it that way. I don't know, but definitely a clean sweep there.
Yes, it was 4-0 sweep there. So this is an interesting one because I feel like Star Wars is one of those other ones that could have gone in that others category. But when Will and I were looking through, like, this is where it was. It was on Cartoon Network. I think since then it's kind of moved on. But for me, Dexter's Lab is honestly, and I know we talk about this sometimes, this is easily top one, if not top two, if not number one favorite show on this list for me. Dexter's Lab, the one that sticks in my mind is the one where he falls asleep with trying to listen to French to get his brain, and the only thing that sticks.
Oh yeah, that's
Omelette
pretty.
du fromage. Yeah, the only part that sticks in his brain. I'm a big Star Wars nut. I love Star Wars, but for me, it's Dexter's Lab all the way.
Dexter's Lab episode, I think it was a Star Wars reference, believe it or not, unironically with the matchup here, but I think it was something about the dad saying, "Come to the muffin side." I can't remember the context of it. That always stood out with me. I thought it was hilarious. And Dexter's Lab, I think, is just
I think it was ahead of its time,
iconic show. I will say with Star Wars, I do like the Clone Wars. I actually am still watching it as we speak. But the Clone Wars is an ends to a mean, right? It's to gap episode 2 to episode 3. Just as the spin-off Star Wars Rebels is between 3 and 4. That's what it is. And it serves the Star Wars universe very well. Overall, I think it does a pretty good job. I kind of hate Obi-Wan's voice actor. I think he's incredibly annoying and incredibly unlikable when Obi-Wan is incredibly likable in the movies. I digress. For that reason alone, it's got to be Dexter's Lab. I think the Clone Wars is limited. It's just limited.
As limited as it may be, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, in my opinion, is one of the greatest shows to ever exist.
Wow.
I'm serious. I watched it 6 times. I watched the newest stuff they put out. It's amazing, right? And I know we might not count the new stuff they've put out, and I'm not going to go into the spoilers. I'm not going to go into the episodes.
Yeah.
They are so well done and so almost cinematic in a way. It's unbelievable. I truly think the Clone Wars is one of the greatest pieces of television to ever be put out. I love Dexter's Laboratory. I think it's a great show. I enjoyed it as a kid, but I will not sit here and look at a clean sweep on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I'm locking my vote in for Star Wars.
It did lose, unfortunately, and I
know.
And if we had included the new stuff, honestly, my vote may have swayed a little bit, but I'm going full childhood mode, and it was.
I got you.
Yeah, and the Clone Wars is not a bad. I haven't even finished it yet because it's pretty long, but it's in terms of what it does to that universe, it propels it. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome, but I just thought it was limited in my. But I
couldn't see it get. I couldn't watch it get 4-0'd. I had to vote.
Yes,
purely off of that reason.
I'm with you there.
So moving on to the number 4 seed Ed, Edd n Eddy versus number 13 seed Jackie Chan Adventures. So Jackie Chan again was another one, and some of these are definitely could fall into that category of like the Toonamis, the WB kids, things like that. And Jackie Chan for me is another one that I woke up every Saturday morning to watch. It was Power Rangers and Jackie Chan and Sonic. Those 3 were like my Saturday morning as a kid. Ed, Edd n Eddy's a good show. It's a good one. I go Jackie Chan. I really do. It just, again, it was one of those ones that I woke up to watch.
For context here, Jackie Chan could have also been in that other region, the Fox, but I think it was on WB
That's what I was just saying.
But I think it first aired on Cartoon Network, if I'm not mistaken.
It did.
So And I remember actually watching it right before, it'd be like Jackie Chan and Teen Titans. That'd be my lineup. But anyway, regardless, there is one show in this matchup that I think is way better than the other. And I also think that there's one show that is very irresponsible to its audience. And the one that's very irresponsible to its audience is Ed, Edd n Eddy. I did not get the appeal of the show. I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was stupid. I thought I lost brain cells watching that show. It was just horrendous. I don't understand it. Maybe people just like the stupid humor. The characters were ugly. They were hard to look at, like the green tongues and everything. Like, just get that out of here. Jackie Chan at least, had a plot. I mean, sure, he was about a famous person and everything, but at least there was just like a plot and some stuff going on, and it made me think critically. Ed, Edd n Eddy, I swear, again, I lost brain cells watching that show. It made me feel like I was more stupid than I actually was. I could not believe how dumb that show was and how popular it was. I just think that show overall was a travesty, a total travesty.
Okay,
I know it's a hot take, but I think it didn't even deserve the 4 seed. That's just my opinion. Jackie Chan.
Gotcha. Brody?
You dare mock the son of a shepherd? Okay,
I guess
Ed,
so.
Ed, Edd n Eddy was a very interesting show. I agree with a lot of your points. Even as a kid, I did not enjoy it. I thought it was kind of silly and stupid. Looking back on it now, it's got a lot of memeability, but that's not enough for it to beat Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan was just so well done. And like Cake said, it was part of the morning lineup. You knew what you were getting when you woke up. You know what shows you're about to watch.
What talisman were they going to find today?
Yeah, and it was going to be one of your shows you watched Saturday morning. So it's got to be Jackie.
4-0 sweep there. Jackie Chan takes out the 4 seed there. That's a good little upset there. So I'm here for that. Number 5, Courage the Cowardly Dog versus Samurai Jack. So, Brody, what you think? What you got?
Can I go last? Can I go
Will,
last,
what
please?
you think?
This is a good one. This is a pretty good one on here. Samurai Jack, I actually did not watch when it aired. I watched it later out of the recommendation from Fenn. I think it's a very interesting concept with the, time traveling and all that. I was not expecting that show to be what it was. Also, great voice acting from Mako. Rest in peace. It had some good moments. Courage the Cowardly Dog is such an interesting show, though, and I think it's the better show here because of the atmosphere that it builds. It's creepy. Honestly, it's one of the scariest pieces of media that I have ever consumed in my lifetime. Like horror movies, everything. It happened on Cartoon Network when I watched it as a kid, and there are so many iconic songs, music, like soundtracks, like the soundtrack, the Slab episode. The soundtrack to that behind that, or the sound design was really good. Same with the fox person, the cat. It was the cat, sorry. The Cat's Hotel or Cat's Motel. I mean, had a distinct theme. It was creepy and unsettling. And oftentimes, Courage didn't get the job done. Like, they would lose. The monster would win in the end. And that'd just be the end of the episode. And it just kind of tell you, like, hey, the heroes don't always win. So I take Courage.
I enjoyed both shows. I think, like Will said, Courage had a lot of the kind of almost scary as a kid type humor. And for that reason, I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Samurai Jack. I used to stay up at night, late into the night, and I would watch Samurai Jack on Toonami. And I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I thought the characters were well done. I thought the voice acting was well done. This is kind of a toss-up for me. That's why I kind of wanted to go last. I wanted to ponder on it a little bit. Looking back at Courage, I do respect it as it being a good show. I think there is a lot of subtleties and underlying stories and underlying things in these episodes. But I'm going to give it to Samurai Jack just because of, at the time, I enjoyed it more. I think if I look back on it now, I think maybe Courage was the better show, but I'm going to go Samurai just because of, as a kid, I enjoyed it more, and I enjoyed staying up late watching it.
So, chat with Courage also.
Thank you, chat.
To me, honestly, I didn't watch a ton of these shows. I will say I think I watched Courage more than Samurai Jack. So, in all honesty, I think I'm going to abstain, which does go to the majority. So I'm going to give that the Courage, which probably would have been my pick anyway, just because I'd seen it more. But ultimately, I don't feel like I have a good enough grasp on either of these shows to make a decision here. So I'm going to give it to the majority, and that was Courage. Big matchup here. The number 11 seeded, which I think is honestly a little underseeded, Johnny Bravo versus the number 6 Codename Kids Next Door. I probably should have swapped these seeds.
I agree.
So good matchup. I loved Codename Kids Next Door. It was a great show, well put together. Johnny Bravo, on the other hand, super iconic. I think our parents could even talk about Johnny Bravo. But again, for me, I resonate more with Codename Kids Next Door because it's something I made a point to watch when I got home from school. And if Johnny Bravo was on, I was happy. I was watching it. I was good with it. But for me, again, I made a point to watch Codename Kids Next Door, so I go Codename Kids Next Door. Broads, what you got?
I'm going to have to agree with you, brother. I think Codename was a very, very good show. I think it had its silliness, but I think ultimately it had a deep storyline, right? With the parents. Like, I think the parents being the villains was a very, very interesting thing. And especially as being a kid, right? Because, like, you kind of viewed your parents as being, you know, the villains, right? The fun killing people. So I think they really built off that. And they did a really good job. I do remember watching a lot of Johnny Bravo as a kid, though, and I thought it was hilarious, man. I think it's a very good show. I personally think these seeds should have been swapped. I still would have went Codename. I think for me, coming home from school, this was one of the shows that would be on, right? I enjoyed the Treehouse. I think all the characters.
I wanted that Treehouse.
Yes, I think even the side characters had good storylines, right? Like they went out of their way to give all these kids different storylines, whether it was about their parents or about, like, you know, they didn't really have powers, but they all had unique, you know, set of abilities, right? And things they liked. So I got to go Codename. I think it was, that's the thing. I don't know if it's a better show than Bravo, but I enjoyed it as a kid.
I think it's more complete as a show.
Exactly. I think it was a long show. It was withstanding. I think it had a finale. It wrapped up. And I got to go with Codename.
Well, I think these shows are vastly different.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
They're completely just on different ends of the spectrum. But actually, I'm going to go with the I don't know presentation. I probably had better.
Hey,
but,
pretty mama.
Yeah. Listen, I agree with the Codenames plot and everything. Yeah, it's a good show. There was something that fell flat for me. I don't know if it was just the animation that didn't do it for me, that I really wasn't that into it, because it seems like a show that I actually would really like. But Johnny Bravo's so funny, man. I by the way, probably some jokes you probably wouldn't get away with today as well. A lot of sexism, but then it kind of always comes back to bite him, you know.
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo is very predictable, obviously. It's kind of like it's your slapstick humor show. But I almost thought at one point it was the slapstick humor show. It was the one that set all the other slapstick humor shows aside and was like, yeah, like I'm the funniest one out here. Johnny Bravo was also just I liked how quick it was to consume. I liked the little, I think they had it was 10-minute episodes, so you could get 2 for 1. So I kind of like that. Codenames just kind of, it fell flat for me. Maybe it was just the animation. I think that's it. Like, it's not a bad show. Johnny Bravo was just more distinct to me. It just stood out more to me. I go Johnny Bravo.
So that leaves us to the tie. It is 12:45, so I know I don't have anyone I can call. Obviously, more votes were cast in chat for Johnny Bravo, so I'm going to give that extra point to Johnny Bravo and
that's fair.
That on. I think that's a good way to go for a tiebreaker.
It's more of a classic. I think it's more of a classic.
And I'm not unhappy either. It is what it is. So now on to the number 7 seeded Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends versus Ben 10. Didn't watch a lot of Ben 10. I know Ben 10 still is around in some capacity. I still see the toys in stores, things like that. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I just remember there's a few funny moments from that. So for me, just having not watched a lot of Ben 10 and having watched Foster's Home, I give it to Foster's Home. I pooed it.
I go Foster's. The world, or I'm sorry, not the world. It's really more the creatures there. I think are more creative.
I think it was a more creative show.
Yeah, I just think it was a more creative show. And to be fair, I did not watch a lot of Ben 10 either. That kind of came at the time when I was kind of maybe moving out a little bit from Cartoon Network, at least a little bit. So I didn't really give Ben 10 maybe a fair shake. I've heard good things. I have from people who have watched it. But for me, Foster's has a little bit of nostalgia to it. And I just thought it was the more creative show overall. So I go Foster.
This is easy for me. I watched both shows. I thought Ben 10 was a good show. I thought it had a good premise. Foster's was, at the time, unbelievably deep with some of the stuff they had in that show. Y'all said all the stuff about it. I'm not going to waste time going into it. I just think there was a lot of meaning behind that show. There were episodes that made you laugh. I think there's episodes that made you cry. I think
Absolutely.
There was a whole thing with him having to leave the house and Blue leaving and Blue going to another owner and stuff like that. And I think it's just 10 out of 10 a better show than Ben 10. I thought 10 was a good show. It stuck around. Props to it sticking around, but Foster's was beautifully done.
And Ben 10 got the vote from the chat, but that is a 3-1 victory for Foster's Home. On to our last matchup in this round. Like I said, this is one I don't know a lot about. Chowder and Billy, Mandy. I can say that I watched Chowder. I am going to abstain from this vote as well.
Wow, you want to talk about two totally zany, crazy shows. These two shows kind of exemplified what Cartoon Network was about for a time, these type of shows. Just you really didn't know what to expect. Chowder especially. Chowder and Flapjack was a show that didn't get on here.
Flapjack
that show was insane. Chowder definitely has a distinct animation style, which totally fits the show. It may not be my style, but I get why it was that way. Also, a lot of adult humor there on occasion. Sometimes it actually got a little bit deeper than I thought from the episodes that I watched, but I like that aspect of it. I think I got to give the edge to Billy and Mandy. I think I go on the voice acting. I think the voice acting really sold those characters a little more than Chowder. And I thought that there was a little more of an overarching plot to Billy and Mandy, a little bit. I mean, it's kind of repetitive in the same way. There was also the Grim and Evil show spinoff. So those two shows kind of combined into their own little universe. So I go Billy and Mandy. There was some really good voice acting in that show, and there were some really fun episodes.
This one's pretty cut and dry for me. I think both shows are literally insane. And I think what Will said, they were classic. At the time, they were the classic Cartoon Network. Like, you knew whatever you were about to watch. But if it was Ed, Edd, and Eddy or one of these two shows, it was just going to be weird. It was going to be bizarre. I'm actually going to go Chowder on this one. I think I watched it a little bit more as a kid. I remember a little bit more about it. And it, like I said, it's just, there's not a lot of difference in the shows, really. I think one was more food-based and the other one was more kind of spiritual monster-based. But I'm going to go Chowder. I give it the better show out of the two.
Gotcha. Chat did go Billy and Mandy, so Billy and Mandy does take that 3-1.
It's a good matchup, though. Definitely a good matchup.